right, welcome to episode 6 of Love Your Shelf. And I'm Crystal Hicks, and my guest is giggling because our title is so clever. And last week we had Jessica Sowell from Historic Sites who claimed to be a nerd, like a nerd's nerd. But I think this week our guest has her beat.
Whoa.
Yes, it's a competition. And my guest this week is my sister, Candace Hicks.
Hello.
And she's an artist who makes books about books. So we're really going to get in depth this week, I think, and find out what she's been up to. And she's going to have a lot of insight for us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
As will I, of course. As per usual. And so, this week, I think I want to start off. We're going to talk about the things that we've been reading. But there's so many things going on in the world right now, and I think that it's important to mention those things, not just pretend like they're not going on. And so the first couple of recommendations that I have are, one is a book that I recently begun to read, and one is one that I read several months ago, or some time back, and they're both by Ibram Kendi, and the one that I've read through is How to Be an Anti-Racist. And in the book, he proposes ways that we examine our own beliefs and looks at the historical structure of racism and tries to offer some concrete ways that we can move beyond just being aware. You know, you hear that all the time. We need to increase awareness, that kind of thing. But what he proposes is that we do concrete things to actively create equality and to be anti-racist. So I recommend that to everybody. It is a book that right now is on, I think is it top or right under on the Amazon bestsellers right now. So, and in fact, I started to bring a list, but everybody can take a look. All of the books in the top 10 or maybe even 20 of the Amazon sellers this week are all books about racism and countering racism. So I think that the world is paying attention. And so the other book that actually right now is, you can listen to it as an audiobook for free on Spotify, is an earlier book of his, I believe, called Stamped from the Beginning. And the subtitle is The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. And so I just started reading this or listening to it. Since the library is pretty empty, nobody objects to me listening to my audiobooks while I'm working. And one of the things that struck me about this is that in that book, he acknowledges that it takes an open mind to be liberated by the truth about what racism is. And he goes back hundreds of years all over the world and examines it in depth. But he acknowledges at the beginning that closed-minded people, this book is not for them. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that hopefully people are starting to realize maybe that about themselves and to have a more open mind and engage with that in a different way. So,
yeah, great recommendations.
Yeah. And there's so many more. There's book lists everywhere. You can, if you want to know about that, if you already read those, then there's more that you can find. And yeah,
it's also okay to just read the books and sit quietly with them instead of immediately virtue signaling and posting that you're reading the books and that you're a good person and not the problem. And I mean, it is also okay
to do the work on your own and right.
To learn about other people.
Exactly. And yourself, mostly,
and yourself.
I think is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we also mentioned last week or the week before that this year's community read, the chosen book, is Circe by Madeline Miller. And I believe...
I just finished it.
Yes.
Yes, it's excellent. And once again, the library has chosen a book that is ideal for the times.
Yes, so we've had Station 11 a couple of years ago, and
That was post-pandemic.
right.
So that, in a way, maybe that wasn't a good choice. Maybe you should have selected that.
I think it would be too fresh now.
Yeah.
I don't think people would be too into it at this point.
When I say that this one is a good choice, that Circe is a good choice for this moment, is that the main character spends a lot of time in the book in an imposed isolation. She's exiled in the book onto an island. So there's a thematic, it feels familiar in a way.
And she's immortal, so you think your days are long. She's there for like eternity by herself mostly.
Yeah.
And those who visit her in the book are not necessarily welcome visitors. So,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I did really enjoy the book. I think I want to say that, of course, so it's based on characters that are plot from the Odyssey. And I want to say, how when you read the Odyssey in school, it's the abridged version, and there's like the little sections in between the stories, but it like synopsizes. Circe was definitely in one of those, like a little sentence, it was like, and then Odysseus spent a year with Circe, and you just move on. And so, it was really great to actually hear this story, because her story is more interesting than Odysseus's story. At least it was to me, because Odysseus is, of course, yes, he has to be clever and figure out situations, but also a lot of like fighty, like warrior kind of situations.
Right. He's supposed to be a hero, very manly, macho
but
man
mostly hero. All of his men get killed over and over again. And he's the only one left, but he's a great leader. So I don't want all of this to be about criticizing Odysseus. That's not what I came here for. But I definitely thought that Circe's story was worth telling.
It's a refreshing take, and to look at something classic like that and look at it from a woman's perspective, as well. So so it's more of it makes you, all of those things that we had built up about Odysseus, we see how kind of ridiculous it all is, and that she actually has some interesting things going on, which are more introspective and quiet, and not like the conventional hero adventure, at least for a lot of the book. Yeah, things change a little bit.
There's some action.
Yeah,
there's some.
It's not.
There's some outwitting of foes.
Of course. Well, and I was telling you recently that as we plan for these things, we are writing about it, and we have put all make up promotional material and stuff like that. And so when I helped select this book, I wrote something. This was back before the beginning of the year, and I said that in this book that the themes of separation, isolation, loneliness, and self-doubt open the path to conversations about mental health, communal engagement, and the importance of taking advantage of community spaces and participating in local affairs, whatever form that may take. And so as you said, that is definitely a major component of the book, and a big reason why I wanted to choose it. I just didn't know that we would then be all isolated and questioning our mental health by the time that we got around it. So hopefully everybody is going to be clamoring to get a copy, and we'll have free copies again this year. They'll be coming out this summer, so keep an eye out and come get your copy. Or whatever we'll end up doing, we may bring it to you. Who knows? But they will be there. Do you have any other books that you want to talk about, or are we going to talk about what we're watching and listening to?
I just finished, I have to look at it, the name of it, because it gets scrambled when I try to say it. The Last Report on the Miracle at Little No Horse.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I had somebody request that book, and they had all the words turned around, and it was almost impossible to find.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you describe, like,
It was just...
the little horse at no miracle report. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Yeah, you get them all in there, but, this book was, I read it with a group of friends. I get a book club. Like, I don't know why I'm embarrassed to say that. Wow. I guess that is what it is, technically. That's a familiar thing to people that they would know what I mean by that.
They probably wouldn't judge you harshly either.
No. And I said, I don't know why that embarrasses me. It doesn't. I own it. I'm cool with it now. Just had to think about it for a second.
Book club is a marker for, we're going to go hang out with our friends and we never talk about the book.
So I don't want to talk about the book club. I'm going to talk about the book, and it's I've read books by this author before, Louise Erdrich, and I have always enjoyed her writing style and sort of the poetic prose that she writes. And this book has a very unusual plot. And actually, I am going to talk about the book club briefly because we weirdly all had a love-hate feeling about the book. Like, we got frustrated with the book somewhere in the middle of it or at the beginning of it, and didn't want to finish it and might not have finished it if not for the book club. It's a very zany plot. It's about a Catholic priest, but he's actually a woman. And I'm not really giving away, like, a spoiler, like you learn that in the very first page, I think. But, of course, she is concealing that identity throughout the book. But, and that's not the only reason. That doesn't inherently sound like it would be annoying to read, but it gets very zany. It's almost like madcap,
wow,
over the top zany plot, with some magical realism thrown in, unlikely events. But all of us also shared the idea that by the time we finished it, we were happy that we had stuck it out, that it was worth it. And it kind of sticks with you. One of those books that kind of sticks with you for a while after you read it. You keep kind of thinking about it and being reminded of it at little moments. But then the other thing I've got is that a few weeks ago I read War and Peace.
Oh, yes.
And I want to make a recommendation for a future podcast, if I may.
Okay.
I think that you should make a list of big fat books nobody reads, but we all intend to, because it is a good time for that, I have to say. War and Peace is pretty brutal. It's just heavy to hold. I would
drop it on my face or something if I was reading while, prone.
I usually, prone, had to sort of lay on my side and just flip my whole body over to turn the page, basically. Because it's just so heavy, like you have to have it,
It's cumbersome.
Yeah. And it's also, even though it's a really big book, the version that I had still had tiny lettering.
Oh.
So, and I wouldn't say that I would ever recommend it to anyone, but I do not regret that I read it. It's a weird feeling to have.
There are a few books like that for me. Not recently. It's been a long time since I wanted to torture myself that way. When I was younger, I was more willing to do that, but I do know this is a hack.
What's that?
For those big giant books.
What?
You just chop them in half, and then you don't have to carry the whole thing around. Make it into 2 volumes on your own. Oh. Now, not if it's a library book, obviously.
Yeah.
But if it's your own.
Yeah. Mine was like a paperback. It would have been very easy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
That is
always
really
thinking.
Smart.
Well, I almost forgot. I have a couple of other books that I've been reading. And one, our mother asked me if I had read it.
Okay.
And it's by Lawrence Wright, who I've never read before. But he wrote a book called The End of October. Mm-hmm. Just recently came out. And guess what? It's about a global pandemic that takes the world by storm. And the main character is an epidemiologist who's going to track down, what it's coming from.
Okay.
So I started reading that, and then I was like, I don't think so. And so I looked, these are, I don't think I need to do this right now. And so I looked at my advanced copies that I have of other books, like for something that was appealing, and it was so, like, it was just right there, this book of essays by Samantha Irby called Wow, No Thank You. And I thought, well, if that's not perfect, then I'm going to give that a shot. So, wow, no thank you to the end of October, at least for now. It seems, I mean, I want to know where this guy thinks it's going to go. Maybe he knows. And then we can prepare, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. But, Samantha Irby is hilarious. It's little short essays, and they're laugh out loud, ridiculous. Yeah. And so I was really pouring through those. I was like, this is what I need right now. Yes. Yeah. And so she's a writer, obviously, but she's writing about, at least in one of the essays, she's writing about a time when she's sort of in between. She's like, you know, it's going to be another couple of years before they're going to pay me to write a book about nothing again. So I've got she's got a blog or something, you know, she's not doing a whole lot. And again, it's like quarantine. Like, she's sitting around in her pajamas, gets up at noon, pretends to work.
But just incidentally, or coincidentally?
Yeah, just incidentally. Okay. That's what it's about. Like, this is just
That's just her lifestyle. Okay.
Yes. And then, you know, like, feeling bad about what Instagram models are doing, and anyway.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. So, definitely glad that I found that one. But that one, I don't think it's come out yet because it was an advanced copy, so sorry. Just write it down and remember.
Yeah.
For soon. And then, in terms of things that I've been watching, I haven't been listening to anything except for the Stamps from the Beginning book. But I did watch the other night Hannah Gadsby, Douglas, and really had loved her first,
Nanette.
The first performance was Nanette. And this one was very different, but whip smart, hilarious, and different. Yeah. So, well, that's pretty much all I'll say about it. But if you have, I know you watched it as well.
Yeah, I watched it too. Yeah, it is very novel in its approach, and kind of genre bending, like, you know, but probably more legitimately a comedy show, a stand-up show, whereas, you know, Nanette was maybe not a comedy show really so much. Yeah, but I loved that. Yeah, it was really good.
Yes, definitely recommend.
2 thumbs up.
Yes, 4.
4, all of them.
Now, we do have a disclaimer, because we know we have potentially younger listeners. A lot of these things are for grown-ups, so make sure that you know that. You know that.
I do.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, I've been watching again. I stopped watching it for a while because of the, once again, overwhelming nature of everything. But Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj. It's really smart. It's funny.
Informative.
It's informative. It's half an hour show, but he really goes deep into like one topic per show. They do their research, and it's really smart, and I'm always learning something from that, even if it's a topic that I've heard about before or know about, you know.
You know, and he's also, or the producers of that show, or Hassan himself, or I don't know what it is, but he doesn't need an audience. So it's kind of, maybe we'll not have live audiences anymore for things, you know? Kind of weird that we ever did hold on to that. Yeah. But then some people really need them, I think.
Yeah, you could see that there was some people at the beginning kind of faltered because they were like, I don't know what to do. I'm just talking to a camera in my apartment.
Yeah, nobody's laughing. I'm you know, it's going badly. No one's laughing. Yeah.
I think it's talking on a podcast or in an interview, if you have to do that much, like a recorded interview, it's kind of the same way. You're like, I'm not getting the feedback from, you know, the people. Yeah. So it makes it rougher. But definitely, he's really good. And then another thing that I've watched the first season, and I'm ready to watch the second season, and I know you've seen it, is Afterlife with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
And I liked the first season. And each season is only 6 episodes, so, weekend bingeable.
Sure.
If you're in that mode. But it's very dark, and it's about a man who loses his wife and just kind of fully embraces that dark side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has a very extreme form of grief. He tries to sort of push everybody away and be like the worst person that he can be, but people don't really let him do that, or they try not to let him do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think too that for a show that I feel like a movie critic now. This is great. This is what I always wanted. I think that for a second season, it isn't just more of the same. That's what I'll tell you before you start it.
Oh, good.
It's not just more of the same,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like worth doing another season because there was more to say about.
Is there going to be a third one, or do we know yet?
I think so. I feel like maybe I heard him on a podcast talking about that he was going to maybe do a third one. I think so.
Okay, good.
I mean, if anybody ever makes television again, probably.
Well, yeah. It would be hard to do at this moment in time.
Yes. Indeed.
Anything that you want to mention that you've watched otherwise?
Oh.
Or listened to?
Oh, man. Now I'm, drawing a blank. I feel like so many things on our list are...
well, we have crossover.
Are the same ones. I mean, I will just always probably watch Bon Appetit test kitchen videos, even when they're in their home kitchens.
I kind of almost like them better.
I think I do too.
They're warmer to each other. Sometimes in the kitchen, they're a little mean.
Yeah,
but now they're kind of like,
and now they're very warm and
oh, we miss seeing each other.
Yeah. No, I mean the Bon Appetit YouTube is all gold. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just
100%.
I don't know why I had to hesitate to come to that, but that's what I have to add.
Is that the thing that you're happy about this week? Would you say?
Oh, are we doing that? Mm-hmm. Is this the segment where we talk about what we're happy about this week?
Or, recently. I mean, I know that today is a big day in your personal life.
Oh, right. It's my son's birthday today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, David.
Happy birthday, David. Le lapin.
Yeah. But otherwise, I know you told me earlier today what I should be happy about, although that you didn't frame it that way. But this is what I'm happy about.
Oh, right.
Yes. New episodes of Queer Eye are out on Netflix.
Yes. I always just openly cry.
Yes. Just as soon as it starts.
Yeah.
Because they're so sweet. And you're like, oh, these people, how can they be so sweet?
Yeah, exactly.
And so last week, I watched, you also told me, you're on top of the Netflix news stuff. I don't check it until at night.
Yeah.
I would have figured it out eventually. But both Fridays, I have had all day to anticipate a weekend of watching sweet, excellent television. Because the last week was Somebody Feed Phil, which I did watch all of those over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I will watch all of the Queer Eyes this weekend, I would imagine. Because there's not that many.
Phil's expression when he eats something delicious is, it's very moving too.
It is.
Yeah.
And his appreciation for other people, you know, he really seems like a genuine person, which...
Yeah, it's probably heavily edited.
Probably.
Who knows?
Yeah. He probably slaps him around.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so happy.
Yeah. He's getting away with something.
Which is the most desirable thing that you can have. The most pleasurable thing is to get away with something, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad that we agree on this.
But I think that Kurt Vonnegut said that. There was
really?
Yeah, there's some Kurt Vonnegut quote that I won't try to Google in front of you. Don't try to Google in front of librarians. It's embarrassing.
We are faster
yeah,
at that than
you'll
you.
find it later, but I think that's what Vonnegut said, is that we all are just trying to get away with what we can get away with.
And I think we'll leave it at that. That might be the title of our episode today.
Probably not Vonnegut.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.